Hey guys, it's water time. Because it is late. It is not coffee drinking time. I wound up on a very late flight, which I chose for myself because I really wanted that cheap plane ticket, and I don't regret it at all, but I did wind up getting home way later than I had intended. I'm also really distracted because Jeannie at some point came over and played with my cats and replaced my background with cat butts. It's very strange. I really need to change it, but look, I'm finally home and I wanted to talk to you guys because it's been like forever. But anyway, so yeah, so the flight itself, I wound up getting home late, obviously, but it also was later than I expected because of two things. First thing is that when we were taking off, there was just torrential rain. So they were like, all right, we're just going to sit here for just a minute. It's weather, you guys, you get it, you know. I was like, okay. So the guy next to me is like reading his book, and I'm just kind of sitting there, and we start to take off, and then, you know, it like slowly speeds up. And basically everybody on this plane is just like, can we just get there? Because we've been on this plane for like, what feels like an hour. Speeds up, takes off. The second we're off of the ground, the plane starts going, and the guy next to me is just like, oh, and closes his book and just sits back like this. Goes, well, this is fun. I was like, yep. So that was one of the reasons that we were late coming in. And also, I could not get home for a while because, A, my bag was apparently the very last one to come off. And you guys know from past airport stories, you understand that my immediate reaction was, they lost my bag again. This is going to be the third time that LAX has lost my bag. I'm going to flip everybody over. Fortunately, it was there. It was just like one of the very last bags, and it was like, ugh. And there was an entire sports team of some fashion on my plane. Excuse me, my jet. God, can you imagine? One day, guys, I'll be like, so I was taking my personal jet to Tahiti, and one day, not today. This was the Canada Air jet that we were on. It was very small. But most of it was some sort of a sports team. And I was taking a taxi home because I didn't want to bother anybody. Because, again, it's really late. Everybody's either asleep or, in some cases, working. Some of my friends that are, like, bartending or whatever, working right now. Just, you know, a plethora of things. So I was like, I'm just going to take a taxi home. Wrong. Worst choice, because this entire team needed a taxi. So I'm like trotting my little thing. I finally got my bag, trotting over to the taxi area, and I just see this sea of men in matching uniforms. And I was like, no. You can't be waiting for taxis. No. They were. Oh, they were. So disappointed. So disappointed in them as people. It's like, come on, can't we just, I just need, so what I did was rather than wait for all of them to hog like 8 taxis in a row, I walked all the way to the other end of that terminal where the other taxi station was, and there was nobody there. I was like, all right, but that, like, it takes a while to get from one end of a terminal to the other when you're walking with 2 bags. Not 2 bags, a purse and a bag. I'm exaggerating because it's a story. But, yeah, finally got home. The guy, one of my biggest pet peeves, and I know that this might sound mean, one of my biggest pet peeves is when a taxi driver asks me for directions. I'm like, don't you have GPS? I told you the address. I can tell you again. I can type it in for you. It drives me nuts. I got in the car, and I was like, I need to go to blah, blah, blah. And he was like, how do I get there? And I was like, you could type it in. So, yes. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah. Finally got home with him every now and then asking me, so, do I take this turn? And I was like, uh-huh. Am I going to turn left or right? Left. Just hurt. It just hurt. Like, why? Come on. The last taxi driver I had, mwah, he was just like, mwah, mwah, sparkling man, because I told him where to go, and he knew exactly where it was, which was weird, but like very convenient for me after playing with that toy that their grandma gave them that chirps so loudly. But yeah, he knew exactly where to go, and he didn't talk to me for the rest of the ride. I gave him a huge tip. I was like, you're beautiful. You're so wonderful. You knew exactly where to go. You never double-checked with me. Mwah. Beautiful. Perfect. 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 Sherlock and Watson are very excited that I'm home. I know that I say this every time I come home, but they are very, very excited that I'm home. And I know that you guys want to hear wedding stories, but I'm wondering if I should save wedding stories for tomorrow because I am tired as butts and I have to go to work tomorrow. But, oh my goodness. We had a lot of fun. Though the wedding stuff was very, very fun. And honestly, I'm trying to remember even like where we left off. The last episode, the last coffee time that I was able to put up was from my guest bedroom, right? The guest bedroom where I used to spend all my time and I told all sorts of stories. Yeah. Yep. Silly. But yeah, I can tell you guys wedding stories tomorrow. Because there are many. Oh my goodness. I have never been like super highly involved in a wedding. I have been a maid of honor before for my friend Christina. And the wedding was very like, I mean, for the most part, she just took care of everything. And like, she was pretty chill. And, you know, not saying that, I'm trying to think of how to put this. Like, I don't think that it's a bad thing to not be chill. Like, you're getting married, right? Like, it's a big deal. But, like, she just, I don't know. It was a very, very tiny wedding with a very tiny amount of people. And, like, she just set everything up. So I kept being like, do I need to do anything? She's like, nah. It's like, okay. But this wedding, I was actually, like, useful. I felt useful. I felt like I was not an important part, but like I did my job, right? Like that's how I felt. So I'll tell you all of those stories tomorrow. I'm also going to just rip that bird in half. Can one of you bring that to me so I can crush it and light it on fire? No? You don't want me to light your bird on fire? Just want that thing dead. Sorry, Mommy. I know that you sent it to me for them. But every now and then, Watson just won't let go of it. Like, just won't stop playing with it. And I'm like, stop. Oh my gosh, my mom and I. So, the wedding was at the beach. I never really made that clear. So, my mom and my dad came to the wedding. And so we all drove back to our house before going to the airport because there was like a decent number of hours before I would need to be at the airport, right? So my mom was like, just relax. You've done a lot for a few days now. I'm sure you're tired. You just want to like sit. Feel free. I was like, okay. So I get home, I sit down, and I turn on Adventure Time. And we watched Adventure Time for a while. My mom was like, what is this? And I was like trying to explain. I was trying to explain Adventure Time, which is hard, I've found out. I was like, well, actually, I'm not even going to try it. I'm not even going to try to replicate it. But, we were watching some of that. And then this show called Uncle Grandpa came on. And I was like, I'm done with the world today. And so I changed it over to the Game Show Network. Now, I have never watched the show Minute to Win It. But that was the silliest thing. There was a marathon. There was a Family Feud marathon, which I love Family Feud. I love Family Feud. I can't get enough of it. Actually, no. My favorite one is Match Game. But, like, old Match Game. Like, Match Game 78. Oh, my God. 1978 Match Game is, like, the best. It's, like, the creme de la creme. And I wish so badly that I could find it. Like, if one day somebody's like, hey, Duger, we made a DVD box set of match game before the 80s. I would be like, give it to me, because oh my goodness, I love that show. Anyways, so there was a marathon of Family Feud, and I love Family Feud. And then it turned into Minute to Win It. And I was like, have you ever watched this? And my mom was like, no. And my dad hates game shows, so every now and then he came in and was like, what is, I'm going to just leave again. But, so Monmouth and I are sitting there, watching Minute to Win It, and we got so invested in that show. Like, never seen it before. It's basically like you have to go through, I think it's 10 mini games that they all have to do with household items, so you can practice these games at home if you want. And each mini game you have 60 seconds to complete, and you have 3 lives. So if you mess up once, then you get 2 more tries at it, right? But that's for like all 10 games, not like you get 3 tries for each game. You get 3 tries total. And some of those games, I was like, no one can do that. And then they do it, and it blew my mind. And other games, I was like, that would be so easy. And they couldn't possibly do it. It was crazy. One of them was like, I actually have a friend who's done this, where like, you have one bottle, like, in this case, it was like the big bottle containers that have water in them for like, drink what? Like in an office building, like the water pitchers at offices. Anyways, so it was one of those, upright with the like open side up, and then a water bottle, and then a golf ball on top of the water bottle. And so you had to grab the water bottle so that the golf ball would fall into the office water thingy. And I was like, that would be pretty easy, right? Like you have to like position yourself perfectly and like swipe right across really quickly, right? You can't hesitate. I was like, I think, yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. That dude was so aggravated he could not do it. And I was like, oh man, that's too bad. But they all get to practice these games. Like you go to boot camp or whatever, Minute to Win It boot camp, where they teach you all the games so that you can practice them and like the techniques and stuff. It was just so funny. I was like, dang, Minute to Win It. Mommy and I were just so invested. But it was a good way to spend. It was a good way to spend my last day. And now I'm home after all of the airport shenanigans. I'm going to go to bed so that I can actually get to work on time. But I hope that you guys had an amazing day and an amazing weekend since I haven't talked to you. And I'll tell you all my wedding stories tomorrow. Bye-bye. Mwah.